All right, welcome to the first ever quarantine with Gunkclimber, and I got some friend climbers that are stuck at their houses. There's been no climbing going on, so this hopefully might be a weekly thing between first person beta and I, but we'll see what happens.
I've totally been climbing. Just
all right. I'm gonna pull you all up. All right, so we got in the top left, we got my buddy Sean. And he's going to be our special guest today because he did, what was it? PA Bouldering? Is that what the...
It's called Pennsylvania Bouldering, the Next Frontier.
Sweet. I probably should have known that. We're going to show some trailers from that. And at the bottom of the screen, first person beta.
Cheers.
And, you want to do any plugs, Seth?
My own YouTube channel, possibly. You should go check that out, especially if you like POV footage, because that's kind of what it is. Yeah, no, I mean, it's sharing my adventures, which there's not a whole lot of nowadays.
That's why we're doing this.
And yeah, I can't go out and enjoy myself. So hopefully I'm too fat and I will get strong.
Sean, you have anything to plug?
Nope. Go check out the film on YouTube. It's free. It's an hour long. It's pretty awesome.
It is very awesome.
Is there any easy link to find it on YouTube?
I would just say you can go to PennsylvaniaBouldering.com.
All right. I'm going to put a link on this video, but just in case people are like, oh, I want to see that. All right. You want to pull up the trailer? We'll check this out.
Yeah, it's far away.
For a long time, Pennsylvania was kind of looked down as a climbing state because there was no big places to climb.
The best thing about PA bouldering, I think, is the variety. You know, you climb on so many different types of rock.
Yes. All of it's classic. You can always find a season to climb in Pennsylvania.
Come on.
My experience, Pennsylvania bouldering, the frontier.
Woo! Oh yeah.
Hope I had enough bandwidth to actually see that. Seems like it was stuttering, but hopefully they'll come out. I think I saw that video as soon as it came out, before you did any of your what were you playing them in gyms and stuff like that?
Yeah, it was. So we did a gym tour. I think we had about 15 showings, like all over the country. We had showings here in Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey. We had one in West Virginia. There were a couple private screenings in Colorado, and we even had one in Puerto Rico.
That was crazy.
Did you go to all those, or was that just the screenings?
I just went to Reach Philly, had one, and then I went to the world premiere, which was at the Roland Theater in Phillipsburg, PA.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. The world premiere was fun because it was playing in a movie theater, so it was kind of cool to see, you know, a whole year's worth of my work up on a movie screen, and, you know, people watching it and enjoying it. So it's cool.
Sean, wait. Okay, so my understanding is Kyle got a hold of you about doing video.
Just totally out of the blue, Kyle Stapp reached out to me. I didn't know him prior to this. He reached out to me on Facebook, and he said, "Hey man, we should make a movie about Pennsylvania bouldering." And I was like, "Oh man, I don't know. That'd be a lot of work." But you know, we decided to meet up and talk about it. So we met up at McCleary's in Marietta, and we kind of talked about the idea. And you know, there's so much bouldering in Pennsylvania, we had to kind of narrow it down a little bit. So we decided to focus on 10 areas, and we wanted to make sure we captured a little bit from each part of the state. So, you know, we got the Northeast, the Southeast, Central PA, Southwest, and Northwest. And one of the cool things was, you know, we met a lot of people through this filmmaking process. We tried to do our best to get like original area developers to interview and kind of talk about how they discovered this area, and, you know, talk a little bit about the geology or what kind of climbing it is. And yeah, it was really cool just going all over the state, meeting people and checking out some awesome boulders.
Yeah. No, I'll totally commend you. You know, I've actually been approached by, like, I've heard this from multiple people. Because everyone gets psyched on like the areas that they're centralized in, you know.
Oh, totally.
Like, I mean, you're right in this, you know, Lancaster County, you know, born and raised, you know, whatever. But like, you can, I mean, especially down like New, there's a couple guys like I can think off the top of my head that have, you know, like they're really psyched to kind of like just expose like how awesome these areas are, and they're all awesome, you know, in their own little right. But I guess what I was getting at was, you know, like multiple people have thought about doing videos like what you did, you know, and
Sure.
in fact, you went out and actually did it, which was really freaking cool, you know. I mean, you know, and it's, yeah, I mean, I'll give you props on that, right? I'm kind of curious though, you focus on 10 different areas. You've been at more, right?
Bouldering and around PA?
Bouldering around PA.
I don't know that I have, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, I thought
the 10 areas that we focused on, some of them were brand new to me. Like, I had never been to the Allegheny National Forest before.
I think of all the areas in that movie, the ANF probably is what psyched me up the most. I just like, I don't know.
The craziest part about ANF is we focused on 2 tiny little areas. You know, like we didn't even scratch the surface to the amount of rock climbing that's up there.
I kind of got that impression. I mean, and just, I don't know, having like some knowledge of like how expansive national forests usually are.
Right.
You know, and yeah, I mean, Northern PA, for people that don't know, like, it's pretty rural. It's one way to say it. Like, there's a whole lot of just wilderness, I'll say, you know. And so you could probably, and I'm sure you can attest to this, like, you can probably just be walking around the woods there and just come across something that, like, the last, you know, climber that may have seen this, if ever, was like, you know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you know, and that's pretty cool. I mean, that's, yeah, ANF got me psyched a lot watching those videos. But is that the area that probably inspired you the most?
I think actually Southwest PA probably inspired me the most. I had actually never been out there. I'd been to Breakneck Rocks, which is where the Golden Bow was.
Golden Bow looked sick.
I think that that very, very well could be the most beautiful boulder I've ever seen.
If you would have asked me which boulder looked most impressive in that movie, like Golden Bow, definitely. Probably a little above my pay grade, but like definitely.
The funniest part about it was we went there and it had snowed the night before we showed up.
And he topped it out in the freaking snow. Like, he didn't even wipe the shit off.
I looked at it. I got up there, and actually Joel was on a conference call with his work during this, so we were all waiting for him to get off the conference call, and I'm like, there is no way in hell he's gonna climb this thing. And I was bummed because, like, we had all these great pictures that Kyle took, and I was like, we have to feature that one in the film. And, you know, we showed up, and the top is like totally just iced in snow. I'm like, damn. And then he comes walking around the corner. I'm like, so what do you think? He's like, yeah, let's do it. And he just cruise right up that thing,
Dude,
man.
he really did. Well, I mean, there was some. Definitely on that face, he was working, but it's you cut to that shot at the top out, and you're at the lip, and you're like, what the fuck is he gonna do there? I mean, it's just snow, and
it was like
there's 3 clear spots.
Yes.
It's just like, burp, 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 you're like, what the hell?
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really fun to visit.
He like walks over the top of it like it's nothing, and I'm like,
it was fun to visit Breakneck because like years and years and years ago when I was in college, I went there to do some top rope climbing, and I didn't even know that boulder was there, and it's just right there, right next to this giant cliff. I'm like, wow, I can't believe I never
there's
saw
so
that.
much of that in this state. It's just one of the cool things about this state. I mean, I do feel I don't know. That's hard to say that, but I'm somewhat fortunate in that I ended up here when this whole pandemic thing went down. I think more so because it's like the potential climbing that exists, I mean, even where we're at, in Lancaster County, there's a lot here. I mean, there really, really is. And so like, I've been spending my days just like wandering around state parklands, or not state park. State game lands, and it's just like, oh shit, here's this dude, crazy enough. And this is it's right across from the islands. So you're north of Susquehannock State Park, but like within that region, I found this like, it's a little cliff. Maybe like 30 feet, but there's these 4 cracks on it. This like beautiful overhung dihedral splitter. It's like gorgeous. There's this one right at the center and these 2 like seams, and I was eyeballing these things, and the one seam on the left, there's like this wire RP nut, something buried in there. And it's I'm standing there and it's like, the last time someone was standing here is probably like 15 years ago.
I bet you
like,
any money it was one of the Herr brothers that was doing it. I bet you.
Yeah, it's either the Herr brothers or Horst or I mean, more than likely the Herrs. But yeah, no, I mean, that's just kind of cool. I kind of look at that as like, this is like generational FAs, these just, I'll sit there and like work these things out and climb them. And it's like, yeah, that's like the first ascent it's seen in however many years, and it's cool. I kind of dig that. And it's one of the neat things about PA. I mean, like, I think that's, especially when you start getting even more like sandstone based areas up north.
Yeah.
There's just all this potential climbing that like, it's just hidden in the woods, and you just gotta be, do a little exploring and find it.
Yeah. The further north you go, the rougher it gets. Like the approach at Elk was just horrendous. It's like 40 minutes. There's no trails, and you just bust ass into the woods, And actually, so the A&F was the last shoot of our film, and
is that why you
what's
featured it at the end? By the way,
what's that?
The order you featured each area? Was there any like calculus?
That's the order they were shot in.
That's the order they shot in. Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to try and capture the changing of the seasons a little bit. So like the river section in the very beginning was just starting to be fall.
Okay.
And then Whiskey Springs was early November, so it was, we had some really nice fall foliage up there. And then Southwest PA was next, and oh man, it was 23 degrees that morning we got there.
Ouch.
Yeah. we left my house I think at 4:00 in the morning. Got out there at like 7:30 or 8, and then we shot all day long and drove home. It was almost a 24-hour long day.
Oh my god, dude! You did a day. Damn.
Yeah, and so A&F.
Yeah.
That the approach to one of the areas there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's called Hilltop, which is the first area that you see at the A&F.
Yeah.
It's very similar to Elk's approach. It's about 30 minutes of hiking uphill, and I did it in a boot cast because I had sprained my ankle on the previous shoot at Squirrel. So it was rough.
What was the name of that crack, by the way, or does it have a name?
I'm honestly not sure what the name of it is.
It looked really, really sweet. I was just
So Squirrel was a very difficult shoot for us. We were having a hard time finding people that were able to get out that weekend, and it had to be that weekend. That was the only. We were having a hard time with weather. We were getting rain or snow, and then like Squirrel, it was starting to get hot, and that day it was actually like kind of rainy. So it sucked because Dave came up and we were psyched that he was there, but it was like, like probably mid 70s, kind of rainy. And the first climb at Squirrel is called Mythical Petting Zoo. And I believe Dave was the first ascensionist of that climb. And it's like a V9, and it was like the worst conditions imaginable. And he gave that thing hell, but he couldn't do it that day, and I was starting to get worried. I'm like, shit, we're not going to be able to get any climbs. Like, so we went to another area, and Kyle did a climb, and then Gus did a climb, but they were like kind of smaller. And I was like, we need something that's going to like, have some impact. We need a wow factor here.
Yeah.
And I was like looking at that crack. I'm like, I'm going to do that crack. And they're like, are you sure? We had two pads. We had two pads, and I was like, "Yeah, I mean, it's like V0. Like, what? I can climb a V10. I can climb a V0."
Oh man!
So the fatal flaw there was not scoping out the top, and yeah, it fell from the top, and just completely dislocated my ankle. So that put a very, very difficult trajectory on the end of the film, but the stars aligned, man.
The video
You
was
said the
sweet,
bulge
though.
before that.
What's that, Seth?
I was just saying the video was sweet.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It was definitely had the wow factor I was looking for. Unfortunately, I had to be the only person in the film to actually injure myself.
That was your only feature in the film too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I have that, and then the bulge in the credits.
That was in the credit. Well, I thought you had someone. That wasn't you on the bulge. I thought the credits was someone like projecting.
No, that's me.
It was a beautiful ending, by the way, to the film. But
yeah,
like,
that's me projecting the bulge. That was the day I sent it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I set up a camera and I just let it roll, and I tried it like probably like 20 times, and I was like, damn it, I'm not gonna be able to do it. And then so then I finally managed to pull it off.
Yeah, congrats, dude. That's
it was like my greatest climbing achievement in the
Yeah.
rest of my whole life. So yeah,
That's pretty cool.
like I felt like it was kind of like it went perfectly with the end of the film too, because making this film was like V12.
Yeah.
It was really hard to make this thing happen.
Yeah, man.
Like getting all those people scheduled and going there physically and shooting it. And yeah, I mean it really was like the stars aligned, and everybody that participated in the film just was awesome to work with. So
I remember you telling me at the premiere in or the showing in Reach, I guess. The last time I saw you, you're telling me how you're just so like done with it. Though I'm curious if you're actually like, I mean, now that everything like it's kind of settled down and like, I mean, people enjoy it seemingly. If you have any plans to do anything new right now, or you're getting that itch, I guess is what I'm asking, to really start like filming something new.
Yeah,
I'm just going to climb from now on.
Well, that was the one downfall to being the filmmaker for it, is like I got to go to all these awesome climbing areas, and I didn't do any climbing because it's like it's too much work to climb and film. Like you got to do one or the other.
I mean, but you were visiting, sure. I'm not gonna appreciate that. Though now, I mean, about all these areas, and they're all a day trip away from you.
Yeah.
Essentially.
And I know all the best people to
You're right.
call
You have this
for a tour.
beautiful community you can fall on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you use
And
the
what's
drone
really
a
cool
lot?
is the film kind of united all these. Oh yeah, man. I tried to break out the drone for every sector.
Yeah,
You
'cause there
can't
was a lot of
fly your drone legally in state game lands. So
Is that true? I ain't
yeah, you
had a
can't fly
group
in
on
state
the
game
drones.
lands. So like you'll notice in the Haycock section, there was no drone footage because you just can't legally do that.
What's Gretna?
Gretna is, well, there is some of it is on state game lands, but I think it's privately owned forest.
Preserve.
Yeah, I don't know. You might not be legally allowed to fly there.
Tisk, tisk. No, I mean Gretna might be a preserve. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying is correct. I know part of it. The problem with state game lands is state game lands are so scattered about
Right.
this. It kind of begins and ends. I mean, Haycock is not even entirely on state
Right.
game land, so so you might be okay there. That was news to me. I thought state game lands were okay.
Yeah, you can like take off the drone like in the parking lot away from state game lands and then fly over it. But you can't
Really?
you can't hike out into state game lands and then take off in the middle of it. And
Is that just because they'll scare the animals?
I
Is that
guess
what they're thinking?
I don't know. It's just the law.
Yeah.
But yeah, we tried to use the drone to like, sort of capture the ambiance of a certain area. Like I felt like for the river section in particular, it really kind of establishes that location that it's like in the middle of a river. Like that's super cool what those guys are doing.
The river is so freaking cool.
And that rock
the river has been such an allure to myself. Like it's just mystical little area. I mean, you have the islands below the dam, the Holwood Dam,
Right.
which I guess is the region that you guys were featuring in the movie.
Right.
There's so much more on that river.
Oh my God.
And down. I mean, it's just. I mean, Safe Harbor is there, and Chickies is there, and those are like your most well-known areas.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But there's a whole lot more. I mean, there is a way lot more. And this is kind of cool. I mean, it was one of the things I've been like discovering and exploring, having nowhere else to go really is what it boils down to, and just try any way to get my climb on. And it's not hard. I mean, you can, I have like 3 bouldering projects right now, and it's just like totally unknown. I mean, more than likely I'm the first person ever to touch that boulder, and it's just like, whatever. It's just like really cool,
Sure.
and it's, and that's just a little bit. Right. And I'm right across from the islands, which is just nuts. Yeah, have you been down there recently at all?
I was there 2 times since the film.
Okay, they're still like. I mean, I know one of those guys claimed an FA up through the dark room.
Oh yeah, the
giant pothole or.
Yeah, they called it the Itsy Bitsy Spider. I think Jason Cale did it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric, do you remember?
It's dark room, I guess they call it, or the pothole or whatever, but
Pothole, yeah.
takes the seam and then exits out right. And I think it's like 15 feet tall. It's pretty tall. And then the KISS project, which is not sent from the low.
Is that underneath that, like the part that like overhangs out the water, I guess?
Yeah. It's wicked hard.
Eric, do you remember when we tried that or we did that? Actually, you believed me on that, I think, more than anything else. But
yeah, there's some bolts that go up through there.
So that the bolted line, I forget the name of it.
It's like called the pothole or something like that.
Well, the dark room is what that was like originally, and I think that's the name of the bolted climb is the dark room. If you go on Vimeo, there is a video of a guy doing it. I actually have a GoPro video of myself doing
Nice.
it. And it was funny because Eric was belaying me. And, well, so
Is that the one when the water came up?
land when we started. What's that?
Is that the one when the water came up?
Right. So, like, you do a traverse out the water, and there's this ring, like, right at the arete, and that's the start of the climb. So there was this landing that Eric was standing on, and as I was climbing it, the water started coming up.
Yeah, it was less and less and less. And finally, at the end, I'm like,
I'm
on the
like,
wall,
dude,
holding
you have
on.
to, like, get off this thing like now. It was wild. It was so cool, though.
I think the rope got a little wet on that one.
But yeah, I mean, on that island, the shield wall, and I know a whole bunch of other people have like rebolted a lot of the things that were on that wall. Yeah, no, those islands are amazing. I mean, that was, and I know like it was the PA bouldering thing, which is the aqua glide thing was kind of a neat evolution, I suppose, of
Logistically, it's real in depth. You know, like
sure, yeah,
it's kind of like, I don't know, if you didn't know what you're doing, it would not be fun.
because those were originally inflatable docks. Am I correct?
Yeah, you think you were supposed to use them to like pull behind a boat out in the middle of a lake and just like lounge on it, you know.
Right.
But the one that they have is like, it's freaking awesome, man. It's like, I think it's 12 feet by 12 feet or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's firm. Like, you don't need to put pads on it, but like, you gotta be careful. Like,
Yeah.
there's been some ankle rolling injuries. Like, the one time I was there, it's kind of scary doing the poling. You know, you have to like connect the bamboo poles and move it around.
I guess I didn't even think about that, but that would
So
be
it's kind of scary because like, it's like, you know, somebody's climbing in towards the edge. It's like, shit, I gotta like push this over. And I was pulling this one guy, Josh Tallarico, and he was trying to do this line called brain eating amoeba, which is it's a really tall line. And it's a deep water solo line. It's probably like 20 feet tall maybe. And he got close to the edge, and I was like, oh man, I can't like get the pole over any further. And he fell. Like, there's big like dead point move, and he barn doored out of it. And he hit the corner of the pad, rolled his ankle, and then rolled backwards into the water.
Oh man.
And it was like 30 degrees out that day. The water was freezing. And like, I was like, oh,
I'm assuming it was deep
dead.
enough he went totally in, or
He went totally in. And he like clambered up out of the water. I was like, I was like, oh Jesus.
That's supposed to be good for you, according to Wim Hof.
Wow, that ruined his day, and I felt terrible about it. But yeah, it's fun. The aqua glide climbing is real fun.
I mean,
I've got one.
Have all of you guys started documenting that stuff at all?
Oh, they've I think
I've seen a lot.
like 150 lines. Oh,
Have they actually
there's
posted that at
tons
all,
and tons
or
out there.
is that
No, it's pretty low key. I think they're trying to keep it that way a little bit.
that's probably smart, honestly.
A lot of people have gotten in contact with them and, you know, linked up with them, got the tour.
Sure.
But like I said, logistically, it's really hard. You know, you have to have a boat, you have to have an aqua glide, you got to have the knowledge of where to go and how to get there.
I kind of like that element, though. I mean, that's just one of the.
It's adventurous, for sure.
It's super adventurous, you know. And the only people that are doing it are the ones that are really into it, you know. And that's.
It's a real cool scene out there too.
Yeah.
Like, you climb all day and then you go back. They like commandeered some abandoned cabin and fixed it up. They managed to get a hold of the owners, and the owners were psyched. They were like, yeah, we would love for you to fix up that cabin. So they did.
You know what's funny about you saying that? I was out there. Oh God, when was this? Like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. You know, and this is same. I wasn't like doing the aqua glide thing, but I had I had this kayak and my bouldering pad strapped on the back of the fucking thing. I'm just out there going out, and find some. But anyway, it started like raining, and so there was this cabin on the island, and I just like hopped in the cabin. I'm just chilling in there, and it's like I was just sort of wondering, like, when was the last time anyone was here? Like I knew people own, like the Herb brothers own one of the islands out there. I don't know which one, but
Well, all the islands are owned by I think PP&L.
yeah, no, that is correct.
So
Let me rephrase that. Yeah, they're all done on like 99-year leases or whatever, and so
yeah, something like that.
There's only like 2 that are currently being that have current leases, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe there's quite a few cabins out there, and some people have pretty sweet setups.
Yeah. There was a whole thing on the York side of up the river, so up on Lake Aldred, which is above the dam. There's a bunch of these houses that are they're on the York side of the river. And this was, I want to say it was 6 years ago. PP&L approached him and just said, we're revoking all your leases.
Yeah, I remember when that
happened. I mean, this is like, these guys, these are these, $100,000, $200,000 houses. And like, yeah, they just basically told him you have 3 years to get the hell out of here. It was crazy. I mean, and these properties are still sitting over there, and it's just like vacant. And there's nobody there.
Yeah.
I kind of tend to wonder if the same thing's going to happen to the islands eventually. But the thing is the islands are sort of, I don't know. It's like a little like tourist area,
I
at
mean,
least
there's
for the locals.
there's like the one island. It's called I don't remember the name of the island, but there's a boulder on it called the Fin, and it's like they call it Party Island.
Okay.
And it's just like a lot of kids go out there and party, and there's been some like drunken injuries that have happened. So, hopefully, just people keep it in line, not being stupid, because it would be terrible to lose access to that place.
It would be terrible to lose access to it. It would be kind of hard though, because it is such a weird situation with the islands.
Yeah.
Out in the middle of a river, which is just public, territory in general.
Right.
Yeah, it would be, but I mean, I don't foresee it.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't know. I do like. Good job. I think that's like very commendable.
Thanks.
I mean, the whole movie and the whole effort. I catch from a lot of people that want to do stuff like that, and people that do it to lower degrees. Like Aaron Schneider had a whole series of videos on like Vimeo on the whole.
Oh yeah, I've seen a few of them.
Wonderful. I mean, wonderful. Yeah, there's a few others too, but no, I mean, you really want the extra.
It was a very collaborative,
really
like my friend Kyle was like super helpful in the whole process. He was my other camera operator and helped me lug all that shit out there in the forest.
That's cool. Was he much in the movie at
Kyle?
all? Yeah, I guess they didn't really like.
He was only featured at Squirrel. He climbed Buddha. It's called Buddha.
Oh yeah, the V3.
Yeah.
V3, V4. Yeah.
Which I did climb that one before I destroyed my ankle.
Yeah.
But so after I destroyed my ankle, we had only got like 3 climbs shot. I was like, well, you guys need to take all the gear and go get like at least 2 more climbs. I'll sit here and wait. So I just sat down, just waited until they were done for like 2 hours. And then I went to urgent care.
So it's just climbing the future right now? No other videos planned, or?
Well, I did just build a home climbing gym. So I'm going to be doing a little documentary I'm going to call it Woody. And I'm just gonna feature some people's home climbing gyms.
So that's freaking awesome.
Yeah,
Did you
kind of
see
in the
this?
works.
Good
This
idea.
this whole like COVID
Good idea
19
for it, I
thing.
guess. Yeah, I mean, that's a good time, or I should say.
Did you
Yeah,
see-
but kind of put a stop on it. You know, I can't go out and like go to everybody's houses and check out their setups.
Wow.
Uh,
I mean, it'll
Yeah.
end. It better end.
hopefully.
I'll
That's it.
force an ending if it doesn't.
Did you see
What's
his
up,
wall,
Eric?
Seth?
I mean, I've seen pictures of it on the gram.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. That's all.
I don't know. Your wall is pretty damn impressive, by the
Thanks.
way. Like,
yeah, I was pretty psyched on it.
yeah. I was talking about Eric, but
Oh,
your wall's
well,
cool
Eric's
too.
is badass too.
Oh, there's my wall.
What
Ah,
was your wall, Eric?
there's my kid on the wall right now.
There you go.
All right, I got to take this off because I'm disappearing here. All right, there we go.
It's what, 24 feet? I think.
Yeah, the
Oh,
climbing.
okay, let me rephrase that. The climbing surface is 24 feet.
Well, the actual
Um,
climbing wall is 16 because it's two, basically 4x8s on top of each other, but they're how
Oh,
wide is it? It's 12 foot
24.
wide. But there's a lot of surfaces. So it's 12 foot wide, 16 foot high, and it's got 3 surfaces you can climb on. So it's got the incline on the outside, and then you have the overhangs on the inside, and there's 2 of them to make the A-frame, as in the picture. Right
Nice.
there. So it's
There
like,
you go.
What angles is that? Do you know?
it's I would say, it's just pitched just a little bit because it's the A-frame that basically holds this whole thing together. I wish I had a better picture of the whole thing because it's, it's got the slides on the side and stuff like that. Oh, I got to turn this off. This is driving me crazy. All right. There we
Yeah,
go.
Eric, you should totally just bring a picture of it and then just screen share it. Like,
Yeah, I could do that.
I
But
would
actually,
do that if I want a picture of it. But
all right, I'm gonna run up and I gotta put Zion to bed. So you guys talk more about Lancaster, which I have no clue about any of these climbing areas you guys have been talking about forever. So I'll be right back. So I'm gonna throw you back on the speaker view.
fire away.
All right.
Hmm.
Yeah, so speaking of kids, I have a 2.5-year-old girl, and once the video was all shot, I had to edit everything. So, I would get her to sleep around like 9 o'clock, and then for 6 weeks, I was up until like 3:30 in the morning.
Props to you, man.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
oh my God.
I remember you explained this to me out at Reach. It's just like, dude, it's so good.
I feel like I'm still tired from it.
Yeah. It was sort of funny. Last year, I would say it started last year. I started setting, I'm like in this van and I'm just traveling around and just climbing. And it started when I dropped Eric off at the airport. So we went out, he flew out and we were going to do the nose. And that was the plan for the spring. And we had been prepping for it, bought all this fucking gear. He flies out there and the fucking valley goes into a winter storm warning. And it just rained. It just rained for like a week. And we waited out for a little bit and we're thinking wow, maybe it'll clear. And it never did. And so finally we bailed on one area. Anyway, so we made the best of it, had a great time. And then I dropped him off the airport. And I think at that point it was that was the first time in the van where I just had nothing planned. I just did not know what to do. And now that brings me to now, and obviously I figured it out, or I figured out a routine, I'll say, but at least while I had content, and I don't now because I can't climb anywhere without being ostracized. I'm not climbing anywhere, but I started like making these work days, or just like days where I'm like, I'm actually going to like work, like, or work or do my thing, and it was a very set time,
Right.
And it's funny now because like, well, I'm in this one location and I'm just trying to like build up cash so I can go and do this again,
Right.
Now to do any like video editing or like work towards the channel or anything else I want to do, it's secondary from this other occupation. It's actually like bringing in money, and so it's like come home from a day and it's like, oh, I have to reset now and like
Start working again,
and I don't want to,
Oh yeah.
And I'm finding that very difficult. I mean, I'll give you props on that. That's a hard thing to do. I mean,
in some ways, the Center Film Fest where it was premiering really lit a fire under me, because like there was a real deadline there, and I really wanted the grand premiere to be like a film fest like that. So, the lady that was in charge of it, like, kept emailing me, like, hey, like, you gonna send me something? I'm like, oh, God, yeah, I will. But, yeah, we got it done. So, all right, so let's talk about you in this van, man. You traveled all across the country. How would you compare, Pennsylvania to, like, all these other places you've gone?
PA has amazing bouldering. Like... Yeah. I will make that like front and center clear. So, this is, I have gone to USGS, the US Geological Survey, and downloaded extensive topo maps of the state, seeking out climbing. Now you roll the clock back 8 years, and this was like, I was all about sport climbing. I'm like, I'm going to find like hard sport climbing. And there's nothing here. Straight up. But the bouldering, all right, I mean, so within the areas that you featured in the film, and like, you didn't really cover a lot of like the schist.
No.
So southeastern PA,
Right.
which is, now there was like Governor Stables and Gretna and Haycock. So that is this dye base wonder.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot more of that.
Oh, yeah.
In this, which you know about, I know. These are largely undocumented areas, and in fact, in the past month, of the few places I have been climbing, which is not largely, all been like undocumented areas. This is just me, and that's it. Some of that has been dye base, and there's more of it. It is an extremely unique. Someone was talking about that, and maybe it was Char was talking about that in the film. It's a very unique style of climbing, but it's, I mean, you have it here in PA. There's some of it in South Africa, I believe. It's about it. Like, it's pretty cool. But within the same region, there is all of this Wiccahishan schist. So Rich Shoemaker was instrumental in establishing wherever Lindsay Lane is. What is that? Lincoln Park. Yeah. Lincoln Park in outside Philadelphia, or it's in Philadelphia, somewhere right there. Man, yes, you're right. Same rock type. That's largely the predominant rock type in Lancaster County, which is where like Safe Harbor is, which is all Wissahickon schist. Chickies Rock, same deal. The Susquehanna Islands. I think that's its own style of climbing. And like, so like Sexwall, which again, undocumented area. Like if you know about it, cool, you'll love it. We describe that as a mini Rumney, and it's which is what Rumney in itself is, again, schist. You have this, and then you go north, and you get into the sandstone climbing, like starting probably around like Hunters's, then up in like what's it called? Like up in Allegheny, out in Michaud's. Is that a national forest or state park? I forget which.
I think it's a state forest.
Yeah, but so like Whiskey Springs, I guess, is close to there. That was featured in your film.
I don't know what kind of rock that is. It's like a
sandstone.
Is it?
Yeah, there's lots of flavors of sandstone, but that's a type of it.
Yeah.
And then you get these weird conglomerates when you get up even more north, or even very west when you get out to like the Southwest PA towards the Ohio Pile and all that kind of stuff. And there's this mass, just a myriad of types of boulders. The bouldering is pretty damn incredible within the state. And if you're into it, there's a lot for you. It's probably one of my favorite things about PA, and so in my mindset, but I like all three major disciplines of rock climbing, so you got bouldering, you got sport climbing, you got trad climbing. And I kind of feel that like I don't know what would be the word.
There's not much
like accentuates,
trad.
but
the trad
in Pennsylvania, no, there's nothing worthwhile.
There's
in my mind.
Mackinac.
Chickies Rock is like the only notable trad area I know of in Pennsylvania.
I don't know.
Or no, Delaware Water Gap. So Delaware Water Gap,
really good. Mackinac was not bad, but it's small.
Yeah.
It's pretty close to the Gunks, but it's like
I find
Mackinac
more like a sport bouldering area.
Sean, what's that one place? What's that one sport climbing area? Kind of north of you. Totally drawing a blank. I know there's a bunch of climbing up there.
Yeah, Tilbury.
Is that it? Is that the one that?
There's a lot of names for it. Some people call it Big Red. Jim Bowers is doing a lot of bouldering.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because there's
really awesome.
Wait, Tilbury, isn't that? Are you talking about Hunters or
no?
An area.
Well, it's Hunters.
Tilbury is Nanticoke.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. Yes. Yep. That's what I heard.
Not Mackinac.
I don't think it's far, actually. Isn't it right by Mackinac? The Nanticoke.
Yeah, it's around that area. Maybe within an hour.
I don't think it's that far. Where is
there's like 150 foot cliffs there that are just awesome.
Really?
There's some of it's a little like chalky, but then you get into like sections of really, really nice sandstone, like really nice sandstone. But yeah, totally worth checking out. I think there's 100. There's like 175 lines there now, I think, or something like that.
That's not bad.
It's going to be a major destination someday.
Yeah.
Is there any parking for it?
Bouldering in Pennsylvania.
That's the thing. The parking is real shitty.
Just park on the road, right, and then hike in or something.
Yeah. So I climbed there with Jim Bowers, and he shows up in a Porsche Boxster. And like he's like, yeah, why don't you follow me up there? I think we'll fit. I'm like, all right. So I follow him up this road, and we turn off road, and we're like driving through a forest, and he's in a Porsche. I'm like, all right, man, whatever. And so we park, and then you just hike up the hill and get to the base of the cliff. It's pretty sweet.
That area does look cool, though.
Yeah, highly recommend.
Bouldering is incredible. the diversity, I mean, like California probably has more of a diversity only because the sheer size of California. It's incredible. I mean, or a lot of the Western states in general, but like they cover such a large landmass. But for the consolidated, I mean, just consider the region that Pennsylvania encompasses. I am rather amazed at the diversity of bouldering that exists within the state. And I do believe it really does make you strong.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it does, because you have to be. I mean, you have to have a diverse range of styles and just be familiar and comfortable.
And the different styles, the different types of rock, you know, like out Western PA, you got the gritstone. Eastern PA, you got diabase and the schist that you were talking about. And then you got sandstone, you got gunks rock.
When you get the conglomerate up more towards like that, up towards that, like, that range where the gunks, you know, starts at, because the gunk, I mean, by the way, the gunks is like the northern border of PA.
Yeah, it's very close.
Yeah, it really isn't far from the gunks. I mean, that's
the problem with Pennsylvania. Most people don't realize it's a pretty big state.
It is a big state.
It is a big state.
From the northeast to the southwest to Pittsburgh, you're talking what, 10 hours?
Yeah, it's a big state.
It encompasses a large area.
Yeah.
I mean, New York, I think, has its beat, but that's about it as far as like New England goes. I don't really know the kids for New England, but it's the Keystone State. I mean, that's just.
Is New York bigger? I didn't think they were.
I think so.
It's a weird shape. Like half of it's like cut off. I don't know.
I mean, however you can consider
We'll
that.
be close. We'll be close if it is bigger. Yeah, we're one of probably the bigger states on the east.
I mean, it would be great if we had, you know, mountains that were, you know, 8,000 plus feet. But we don't. So.
Anytime I drive like through the state, I'm like always looking like on the highways. I'm like,
Dude,
there? And then it's like, nah, it's not worth it.
You've seen it too. You take 283 up to 322, and then
on the
river when you cross over Peters Mountain.
Dude, I've been wanting to check those out for years. At least a decade. I've wanted to check them out.
I know. Same.
Let's go and check it out.
We could go up there and check those out. I guarantee you there's some amazing stuff up there.
I know there is. I've tried to Google Earth it too, and you can't really see it.
Dude, I've got to send you a link to the USGS survey for the state. Like it's telling. You get the soil layers and like the actual, you know, fault differences with that throughout the country, but like you can find the areas just simply by following those lines. You know, it's kind of funny. Like if you watch, actually, I don't know if you know about this or not. Maybe you can tell me. Okay, so like diabase. All right, we know those select areas in the state. All right, so looking at these maps, you can see the vein where the diabase follows. You know, what's it called? It's right below 3 Mile Island on the river. That vein crosses the river, and there is a whole ton of exposed rock right there. It's diabase. It's within that vein, but it's river rock.
Huh.
So what I don't know, because I haven't been up there yet, it's about 45-minute drive from where I'm at. It's a lot closer for you. I can't remember the name of the dock. There's like a dock right below it, but it would be, I mean, it's water worn, so it's going to be smoothed over, and it's going to be, I wouldn't expect a whole lot of high balls there, but I'm really curious to check it out because it's a lot of exposed diabase rock. I wasn't sure if you knew if there was anything there or if you've ever checked this out or not.
I know like a couple of my friends have climbed, like they've explored, like, are you talking like on the river there?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've walked around there. I don't think there's anything like tall.
Okay. I wouldn't expect there to be anything really tall, you know.
Yeah.
I expect it to be very water worn, so it'd be very smooth rock, you know. So I don't know how featured it would be.
But yeah, you're right. It is diabase. It's like It's cool because it's like water-worn diabase.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I always wish there was like a 100-foot tall diabase cliff.
No, I know. Oh, can you imagine like the classic diabase ret going
Oh my
something
God.
like that? I mean, it would be crazy. That'd be so amazing.
Yeah,
Oh.
that would be.
Have you been up to Green Lane yet?
Yeah, I was there a few times. I mean, it's sketchy. You're not really supposed to go there.
Oh,
No,
that's
you are allowed to.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have to park on the one side. So with
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever came up with me, but we used to park up where the power lines are. It was on the other side of the park. It'd probably be closer to you, but the problem is you really aren't supposed to be there anymore. And they really,
that
really
the
cracked
power
down.
lines is told no, don't do that.
But if you park on the other side, there's actually a park, a reserve. So you can park there and walk in, and it's never been a problem. And you're away from all the people with houses and stuff like that. They're the ones that always complain. And yeah, that was the problem with parking on the other side. But yeah, you can on the other side. And there's a lot of bouldering up there. It's probably close. I want to say close to Haycock, but I don't. Haycock does have a lot. It's spread out, but it does have a lot.
Hickok's huge.
Yeah. But Green Lane does have quite a bit, and they have some good high
They're
balls.
really developing a lot there recently.
Haycock or Green Lane?
Haycock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're really trying to explore out in the like outdoors and the the saddle area, saddle boulders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guide keeps on expanding. I have the Gunks guide for it, and it keeps on expanding every time I load it up. So, yeah, that's the thing with Green Lane.
More out there for sure.
Green Lane is nice, but it's hush hush. Doesn't exist.
Right.
Yeah,
I kind of like it that way because you could make an incredible an incredible guidebook for Green Lane, and it would be amazing. But I like it hush hush, and I think everyone else does too. And if you want to check it out, just figure it out for yourself.
Well, that's kind of what I like. I like the islands for that same reason.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully it stays that way, or else like people will ruin it, and then nobody can go there ever again.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah,
there's a lot of climbers.
I think there's like it's like ebbs and flows. There's different like periods of time when like there's a lot of climbing activity within. This is any area, honestly, but like between Green Lane or these like kind of just quiet areas. There's a lot of climbing activity, and then there's this period where it's just you don't hear anything, and there's a lot of climbing activity, and it keeps, and it's just essentially like people get attracted to the place, or they get familiar with the place, and you start getting a lot of activity in there, and there's a bunch of local opposition to it,
right?
And then we all just sort of like, we find our own areas to go to, disperse to that, and then it's vacant for a while, and then it just again, like people get clued in on it and they start going there again.
Yeah, the problem.
I don't know. In my mind, that's just sort of like natural process of this. Like it's just one of those things, I mean,
Eric froze.
Yeah, he froze.
Yeah, I think the bandwidth here sucks. I mean, I have FiOS, but I really need to connect directly into my computer, I think. Can you guys see me again? Am I still frozen? All right, sweet.
You're like,
still barely
there, oh.
I look fine on my screen. I'm the only one that's clear. No, you guys aren't freezing up too much.
All that matters, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, one of the like maybe reservations to doing the PA bouldering film was like, what if like we blew it up so much that like all these areas would be overrun with climbers?
I it's a valid concern. All right, safe harbor. So just a little history behind the area. And I don't know if I'm totally accurate on this, but I'm pretty close. I feel I'm pretty close anyway. Safe Harbor has had this history of like, it was cool with climbing, and then it got like outright shut down, and then it was cool climbing for a while, and then it was outright shut down. You know, I mean, and right now everything is pretty established. There's a coalition, and it's cool with climbing. Initially, so you had the Herr brothers and you had Horst, and those were the two or three people that were actively like developing Safe Harbor South. And now they were doing this when the railroad was still operating, you know, I mean, which is like totally illegit.
My favorite climb, locomotion. I didn't get to climb it with the train going by.
So the AC station, I don't remember the exact, and they tore all the rail lines out, you know, and then my dad and all the other locals were going out there and cutting railroad ties, but that's so. But then this left this land and all these cliffs that were developed, and no one knew what to do with it. And of course, like climbing was not nearly as well noticed, looked upon, you know, kindly. So what Horst did was that he documented all these climbs that they bolted, and then he published them, and he started publishing them in Rock and Ice, most notably. And the idea was to gain, like, to expose it, gain attraction to it, because it was known or felt that climbing was this growing sport, and that more people become attuned to what it was. And the idea, because he knew that it was all going to get shut down. All right. But if enough people knew about it or knew about its existence, then that more people could get behind, like, all right, let's get these coalitions together, and we can start, you know, like working towards making this like a legal thing or a very legit thing. So these local areas, like, I mean, not like talking about the real details behind like Green Lane or Sex Wall or any of these other areas that exist within PA, and there's a whole ton of them. You know, they're undocumented. Whether you're allowed to climb there or not is sort of like, don't really know. You know, here's the thing, like, these areas are cared for by the people that know about them. You know, climbers are not, you know, but if a large set of those are climbers, then come time when we really need to make like some sort of decision about whether access is allowed or not, then us as a user group, we become more valuable. I mean, it's like, oh, there's this whole body of people that regularly use this land, and we're actually taking care of it. Or we think we are, you know, well, that's meaningful. I mean, you can put a value to that, and we actually have some lobbying power behind that.
Right.
That's my impression. I think that's most coalitions' impressions. You know, I mean, it's, you know, I mean, it's kind of interesting in that, like, a lot of these areas, and you're talking about, like, you're visiting these areas in Pennsylvania. So, like, for instance, you labeled the one at Southwest PA, which is just this broad statement of, like, okay, I can, you know, don't ask me how I know about this. Up in Hunter's Mountain, you know, like, oh yeah, the best climbing there is in the private area. Don't ask me how I know that. But
Right.
But the thing is like, hopefully anyway, the people that are using that land are not douchebags, and are in fact taking care of it, or at least trying to take care of it.
Yeah.
Because that does have value come time when it starts to make, you have to start making decisions about whether people are allowed to use that land or not.
Right.
Because otherwise,
I think a lot of those private areas are hunting areas. Like I think the private land at Hunters is used for hunting. Very similar to GS, like the private land.
You have state game lands, which are hunters take priority, and whether and that's, and I will make that statement for anyone that doesn't know that, like when it comes to state game land, yes, right now, only because we haven't caused a problem, the general public is allowed to use those lands for hiking or whatever else. However, hunters take precedent, for whatever season's in place. And if it is within a more popular season, so whitetail deer and turkey and some other ones, there are other conditions by which we're allowed to use that land via how much orange we have on me and a bunch of other stupid stuff. But the point being is that is their land. Okay, so that land is paid for. Those leases for that land are paid for by game hunting licenses. So if you purchase that license, that's how that land is established.
Right.
But then you have preserves. Now preserves are a different thing, because preserves are all contingent on the people that actually establish the preserve, the people that own that land, and that's varying. Some of them don't even know, some of them are just kind of like, we have this land and whatever, people can just use that, and the unfortunate reality is that the locals kind of feel like they dictate the rules of how that's. Some of that is absolutely legitimate, and some of it isn't, and unfortunately our user group is not big enough, or we don't have enough lobbying power to really take a stand on that, and I understand that. That's okay. It hasn't really caused a problem to this point, but yeah, I mean, we fortunately, and I have to say this, we finally have gotten to a period of time where we now have enough organizational power where we can form these coalitions, and they can actually by money, we can establish our use of that land. So Governor Stables is a great example of that, but even bigger, go down to the Red River Gorge. I mean, now the RRGCC, they're landowners. I mean, or they lease it, but our usage of that land, we pay the dollars every year, and we can use that land. The only other user group I can think of that has gotten even more so, than us, it would be mountain bikers. They're pretty, I mean, that is just huge. We should really feel fortunate that we actually have that kind of organizational power at this point. It hasn't come to a state in some places like Haycock or Gretna, or Haycock and Gretna, the two major ones I can think of. National parks, so the Allegheny National Park, or ANG, or ANF, or whatever I'm trying to say. But, I mean, again, that's national forest. We're all allowed to use that. And state parks, they're pretty, because Sex Wall arguably falls under that state park usage. So we're all allowed to kind of use that,
Right.
And you can kind of make those arguments with a lot of different areas within the state. There are those areas that are sort of really, I'm not sure. I think the point being, though, is look, so long as we're taking care of the area, and we're not being just outright douchebags or dicks, this is not an issue. This is fine. And it's part of our own culture. Climbing was born out of this very countercultural sort of element, against the man, that sort of thing.
Right.
we're bigger than that now. We're more organized than that now. But that doesn't give us an excuse to be dicks. It doesn't mean we have to be douchebags. And so long as we're not either of those, like, I think a lot of this will be fine. As Eric was mentioning earlier, in the case of like Green Lane, Green Lane's on a preserve, and there's no real rule saying you can't climb there. There's no like, none. It's allowed.
No trespassing signs or anything like that.
There's none of that. No, there's none of that. No, it says like hiking that's a thing. No motorized vehicles. You're not allowed to do that. All right, that's cool. The locals feel like they don't want you parking over the power lines and walking in. They don't like that. That's not to say that it isn't allowed. They just don't like that. That's fine. We'll respect their area. We'll park over where, it's a longer walk for us. Who cares? We're all in good shape. We'll walk, yeah, so long as we're not destroying stuff or being douchebags, then it's fine for whoever owns that preserve, and I mean, we enjoy this area for our own reasons, but like we enjoy it because it's the outdoors, and that's why it was established to begin with.
Right.
And that's most of Pennsylvania, hunters included. Yeah, I mean, there's stories about the guy in the private area who goes around the shotgun and stuff and chases us out. And I mean, I don't know anything about this, but in my mind, he might just do it because he has fun, like just picking on the kids. I mean, yeah. It's a legitimate thing. I mean, it's not like we're destroying his stuff or anything, but like, yeah, we're not supposed to be there, so let's not be there. Yeah, so that's my take on it. I'll throw it out there for the masses.
Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else we can accomplish in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, PA is amazing. I mean, it's a great place to be. If you're a boulderer, it's a great place to be. I will say that.
Yeah, I think that's my problem.
If you're really into track climbing, probably not, but
I agree.
Certainly has me itching, but both of us, all three of us.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to get back out.
Crazy things right now.
I said I'm excited to get back out and do some more rock.
Dude, I know.
Yeah, I don't know how long this is going to last.
I hope all this virus stuff goes away soon.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, I think in terms of like, when it'll get better, that's not hard to determine. My problem with the whole pandemic thing, and I was going to make a video on this, and I'll elaborate on that. More so is that your governing bodies have not established any firm date as to when things get back to normal per se. All right. And it's not, rather what has happened is that they're like, we're going to set that everything will be closed until, the end of the month, and then we'll reevaluate. And I feel that does nobody any good to make a statement like that.
I think it's just like hard to make that call, because like it's like shit, man, 1,500 new cases.
Sure.
Oh, 1,300, 1,100. Oh, okay, we're starting to level out, but who knows like what's gonna happen. So
I think the problem is they're playing it by year, and
right,
and it's not difficult to make a evaluation based upon like, okay, new cases, let's say. All right. You can kind of like draw that curve for yourself and see, oh, well, really we're best to stay in quarantine till, let's say, August, okay, or September, that's way out there. All right. In my opinion, I think if you were to if everybody would get behind, all the states would get behind this, and the Fed says, all right, listen, we're going to shut everything fucking down, other non-essential businesses, until September 1. All right, that's hard for everybody, but here's the thing. Everybody has a date they can plan on. All right, so we can make policy based on that. Like, we can say, okay, well, we have to get through to September 1. How do we do that? You know, it's a conservative statement.
Yeah, but we'll be bankrupt.
But the thing is, it is a number. It is an absolute date that we can all get behind and start planning around. And nobody's done that. I mean, now the states right now have started to like, okay, we're going to start building coalitions around this. So like the Northeast is going to come to their own like terms, and they're doing it outside the Fed. Personally, I think if the Fed came up with a number like, okay, this is fine. We can all start to like, because they know they have actually lobbying power around it. Now I'm getting into political stuff, which I don't really want to talk about. But regardless,
climbing.
I'll talk. All right, I'll zip. Let's go to a climbing standpoint. You know,
yeah, that's all. When are we essential?
Climbing is this weird thing right now. Yeah, right. I mean, seriously. Okay, so CDC is saying like everyone should be getting outside, you know, get in the sun, and but we're a user group that fondles the same holes and everybody else fondles that, and you know, we pass this crap around. And so like runners, yeah, no problem. Bikers, yeah, no problem. Don't, you know, but then in climbers, it's like, oh shit, well, we're going to close down X, Y, and Z because like you get a ton of people consolidating in the same areas.
Well, I mean,
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, I get that. It would be responsible for me to stick at home and just like just abstain, ride this out. And this is what all three of us have been doing. And like, right.
So Seth, what you're saying is we should all be rope soloing right now.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. Well, rope soloing with different climbs though. Because that's the thing. We're
not all going to be on the same climb. Rope soloing, it doesn't work.
Yeah, right.
If you think about rope climbing and like pandemics, like it's pretty bad. You got one person that's feeding rope, and then you got a clip, so you're like putting the rope in your mouth, and then like, you know, it's like it's probably not the best.
I don't believe climbers get sick though.
I mean, well, personally, I kind of feel that bouldering is probably the most like social activity between the three disciplines.
Well, in all reality, bring this back to climbing is I'm really worried about gyms. I don't know how gyms are going to survive this. I mean, the outside, that's going to be there forever. So we'll always have the outside. What are gyms going to do?
Well,
I don't know how any of these gyms are going to survive unless we come up with a vaccine tomorrow, which is 18 months, they say, for the quickest amount of time. They say usually it takes 30 years.
Here's the thing with gyms. Climbing gyms are not, they're in the same category as regular gyms. And that's a whole, like, very large and essential part of the economy, but also people's lifestyles. And if it is so much of a problem that it needs to be addressed by either state or even the federal governments, climbing gyms will fall under that umbrella, you know, whatever it might be. I mean, look, this is hard for everybody. This is hard for businesses in general. You know, I mean, it's not, and climbing gyms are part of that, you know.
Well, I'm just saying we're doing a climbing podcast, so we should be talking more of the climbing aspect.
Sure.
Restaurants are screwed and everyone else is screwed, but
right.
We should just be talking about the
I'm saying climbing. Well, I'm saying like any other business, you know, climbing gyms included, any other business that is like so screwed that their future might be in jeopardy, they're going to receive some sort of plan to help them with that, you know. And
I'm just saying the problem is, how do they bring them back? I mean, are we all going to be wearing masks in the gym? I don't know how you'd be climbing with masks.
I certainly hope not.
But that is a possibility.
Honestly, look, as soon as this all ends, I'm right back in the van and fucking driving west. But In which case, I don't really care about what happens to the gyms. But
well, still, I mean, a lot of people depend on that.
no, but in all seriousness, as far as like what happens, I don't know. My biggest fear is what changes, you know, and that goes well beyond what happens with climbing gyms. It's just what happens with anything, you know. I don't want anything to change. It's probably going to. I don't like it, but call me old. You know, I'm just like, you know, old and crotchety. I don't, you know, screw change, but it probably will. But we'll adapt. We'll bitch for a while. We will do that, but we'll just adapt to whatever happens.
Well, I mean, I'm fine with that. I'm just hoping they don't disappear because they can't afford it, like bankrupt. I don't.
They won't disappear. They won't disappear.
So?
I mean, it just, they won't disappear.
Well, you got to pay rent or leases or whatever. I mean, granted, they'll probably get money temporarily.
Unless COVID-19 becomes the next Ebola in terms of lethality, then no, they won't disappear. We're okay.
Hopefully.
And by the way, I'm not saying that like gyms are just this other thing. I mean, my climbing, you know, climbing for me, I won't say it was born out of a gym, but certainly I think it became what it is now because of gyms, you know, in terms of, that was the first opportunity I had to actually like meet other people doing the same, that enjoyed the same thing that I did, you know. And even though I would consider myself far more of a rock climber than a gym climber, you know, like it's, I don't wish ill will upon gyms or climbing gyms. I think they'll be okay through all this. You know, I mean, I don't know about you. I'm still paying my membership to PRG, even though like I have no reason to be. And personally, I feel that most other members of that gym probably are doing the same thing. You know, because and that's what PRG has to Philadelphia Rock Gym. That's what they have to rely off of is their members, you know, and what they pay in every month.
Well, some people can't even afford to keep, you know, the memberships right now.
Absolutely, they can't. You know,
I mean,
but I've discovered my own way of doing it.
Exploded.
Mm-hmm.
I heard someone talking about like 50% of small businesses are probably gone. I mean, we won't know for a couple months, but you know, I don't know. I just don't.
We'll get back to the bathroom, like really bad. Sorry.
I don't know. I mean,
no, I think this is like, I don't know. I think 50% is at this point. We're only a month into this. Let's be real.
Yeah, but it could be months more. Who knows?
Could be. It probably won't be, but it could be. But if let's say it turns into months more, you're going to have far more. I mean, look, you have the government right now passing out. You have the Fed passing out blank check to everybody. You have the state government.
Yeah, but
well, at least in Pennsylvania,
$1,200's not much. I mean, for a lot of people.
Okay, yeah, but in Pennsylvania, if you're unemployed, you get $600 on top of your own freaking unemployment check, which, by the way, is crazy. I know this because I got that notification yesterday because I'm collecting unemployment right now. I mean, the point is programs are being set up to cover for all this. And I'm not saying they're necessarily going to be enough, but, you know, you're not the only individual concerned about like, oh, what's the long-term effects of something along these lines? This goes back to what I was saying at the beginning of this whole COVID pandemic thing, is that I think a major hurdle they could clear that would solve a lot of this is actually come up with a definite date. Let's all get behind one date. Look, we'll go into hiding. We'll go into, social isolation. Let's all get behind this until whenever that date it may be, and it can be conservative, but the thing is we can plan on that date. We can all get behind that and say, all right, that's cool. Let's dot our I's and cross our T's and, let's make a plan. How do we survive till this date? Whatever it might be, and I think we could do that. I think our economy could survive that. I think most businesses could survive that. I've worked for small businesses all my life. My family's business is considered a small business, and we can survive that. My current employer, we can survive that so long as we knew when we had to get to. That's all.
I think that's the next group of people we need to talk to is maybe some gym owners and see how they're doing. I mean, I could probably get in touch with Dave
Good idea.
or Feinberg.
Oh, are you kidding me? DR would love to talk about that.
Oh God. I love
You open up your stuff, all right?
We won't get a word in edgewise. I could just put Dave on the camera and walk away like I did tonight. Did Sean freeze up? You still there, Sean? Sean? Uh-oh. Is my everything frozen here? Oh, there you go. Everyone disappeared. All right, there you are, Sean. All right, you're back. You disappeared there.
Yeah, everything stopped there for a second.
Are you do you go to the gym much? I mean, I guess that's why you built your own.
I haven't been to a climbing gym and man, it might be like more than a year.
I mean, you're not that close to one, are you?
We have a Spooky Nook, which is a pretty good gym.
Yeah, that looks
but
awesome.
yeah, I don't really go too often.
Gotcha.
Usually all my climbing is pretty spontaneous. It's like, oh, I have like a couple hours. I'll like run over to Mount Gretna or Governor Stable or, maybe on the weekends I'll hit Safe Harbor here and there. That's about it.
How's the home wall? I mean, is it, do you feel like you need to improve on it or is it pretty good right now? It's perfect for training or do you need a couple more things to add to it?
I mean, it's like building a home wall is like an endless project. It started out, I was like, all right, this is my plan. So I executed my plan. And then I was like, oh, well, now I need to build some features. And it's like, oh, well, now I need to buy more holds. And then it's like, oh, well, I could build an expansion here. It would make it 10 times more fun.
Yeah, I know.
And so it's just like, I think I like building my home wall as much as I like climbing on it.
Well, I mean, it's good. I mean, it's got the perfect
I ran ginger ale.
holds. I mean, you could really get a good workout on that wall that you built. I mean, a lot of people build these small walls that aren't high, and it just doesn't help much. But you have a good size. Especially this wall compared to your last wall, that one that you had in your basement. Oh, did everyone freeze up again? You still there? Ah, lost internet. That's awesome. All right, I hear Seth. Sean, are you still there?
Sorry, you broke up there for a second.
Yeah, sorry, the internet kind of crashed out.
Oh, interesting. Oh, wait.
All right.
There he is.
He's back.
Eric's back now.
Yeah, sorry about
He's
that.
back. He's back.
My Zoom crashed. Actually, I got to see if I'm still recording. Yep, still recording.
Don't do that.
All right.
You hold all the buttons for this meeting.
All right. Yeah. I know.
You said something about my basement, Eric?
Yeah. I mean, your new wall compared to your old wall, it's got to be a million times better. I mean, you didn't have any height on that old wall. I mean, it was pretty sweet having it, but still, this one looks like a lot better.
Yeah. Having the height is really, really made it a lot more exciting. 10 feet is a lot taller than 6 feet.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how much traversing can you do,
Right.
You said you enjoy building your wall more than you like climbing it.
I think I might.
Really? That's awesome, dude.
It's fun to build, but yeah, it's like you get to a point where it's like, oh my God, I'm so tired of building. But like you keep seeing all these opportunities to like add some really fun, cool thing. But I think I may have reached the threshold now where it's like, all right, I don't want to build anymore. I do want to build like a steep, like maybe like 60-degree, like long section, but that would require me to go out in 2x4s and 2x6s and then do T-nuts. I hate doing T-nuts. I hate it.
Yeah, that does suck. I did so many
Hate that part.
4x8s with yeah, shit. I don't even know how many I did.
What? Just are you actually are you drilling like a grid pattern, or are you just drilling it at random?
I drill a grid pattern.
Yeah, it makes more sense. It's easier. And T-nuts are cheap to start with. It just sucks hammering all those goddamn things in.
Ugh. It's so loud.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like a lot of the building I did out there was after my daughter goes to sleep, I'll like go out and like I'll build from like 9 to like 1 or 2 in the morning. I'm out there sawing plywood in my garage. Like my neighbors must have been going nuts. Like, what is he doing? He's hammering things at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I did that when I built ours.
Nobody said anything, so that's good.
Yeah, I built ours in less than a month, I think, which is pretty quick. I had like no plan for that whole thing.
You built yours in that's 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it was about a month, but we did a lot of prep work. I mean, the whole thing is painted.
Eric's trying to get his up.
What's that?
You had that party. I think it was your Labor Day party.
Yep.
Am I correct? Yeah, you were trying to build that thing before the Labor Day party. So you built those frames.
Yeah, I built.
We all went over there to raise them.
Right.
And then it was like this 2-week sprint of like trying to get everything together before then. But you didn't have. You got what you had up for that party. That was before the slide and the rocket ship. Am I correct?
The rocket ship I built like a year or two later. So
right.
I spent July. In July, I pretty much like cut a lot of the wood and prepped a lot.
You were definitely planning it for a while.
Yeah. Yep.
I know that. Like, I didn't know how much free time you had.
Breaking up a little bit.
Eric, you froze in a really funny.
We don't know what's happening now.
No, yeah. So July we did a lot of prep work. The painting was like the biggest pain in the ass, but Marla painted most of it, which was kind of nice. So we kind of have it all disguised into that playground that we have next to it. That was how we kind of got away with it. Because it's a big playground. There's no definition for like permits for playgrounds. So yeah, we did a lot of the painting. And then I think we did that little raising of the A-frames in the beginning of August. So I had about a month, a little less than a month to build the whole thing. And it didn't take long. Like within a week or two, I pretty much had a lot of that built, the framing built, and I started working on the slides and stuff like that. Yeah, you should see the sketch for that thing. It's just a scribble on a piece of paper that makes no sense. And that's what built that climbing wall out there. It was all just basically in my head.
I don't remember that when you were showing me that to me. I was like, all right, well, you seem to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I did pretty extensive planning. I had like a 3D program that I used, and I made 2x4s in this program, and I laid everything out and like calculated how much plywood I needed to buy. Luckily, like since I had the the basement gym, like a lot of my plywood was already cut and prepared. So like it went together super quick.
Yeah, it doesn't take long once you have everything cut and you're ready to go, and to make a couple of changes. Yeah, pretty simple. But yeah, it's a lot of work. What time is it? Should probably give it a call it quits. I think we've been going like an hour and a half, maybe.
The longest Gunkclimber.
Yeah.
What do you call these things?
I mean, I was just calling it Gunkclimber Talks Climbing, but this one's gonna be different. Might be quarantine with Gunkclimber.
No, man, I would keep going. The Gunkclimber Talks Climbing. He just talks longer. I mean,
yeah, I could do that, but I have a set. The Gunkclimber Talks
appreciate
Climbing.
You.
12 o'clock. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on to talk about the movie, and
yeah, man. Yeah,
hopefully we can
out.
meet up and do some rock climbing in the future.
Yeah, we might have to have some secret outings that never existed.
This is what it's turned to, guys.
Yeah.
Outings that never exist.
Exactly. Yeah, they closed the Gunks down I guess is it about a month now?
I'm not sure.
I was climbing a week or two before they closed it, but I should have gone right before they closed. I was so thinking about it. I'm like, I'll go next weekend, and then Monday they closed it. I was like, oh, shit.
And my coworker, I mean, he wasn't able to get tested, but he was convinced he got COVID.
Who,
Brian?
Yeah, dude, he was hurting for a little bit. But I was in direct contact with him.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. You probably could have got it.
That was the day before we got shut down. So I was working in Montgomery County, which is the first county in PA that got like totally shut down. So yeah, there was a period where I was like, I'm screwed. Yeah, like I'm done, And yeah, I just waited around for like a week and a half, and then just nothing ever materialized,
I think that every day. I'm like,
in that week and a half, then the whole state shut down, and yeah.
Every time I go to bed, I'm like, well, this could be the last night. And then I wake up in the morning.
Dude, now it's like every time I go to the grocery store, it's like,
yeah,
shit,
Well, that's the highest risk. I mean, if you think about it, anything else isn't really a risk. You go climbing with a bunch of people and not much risk. Grocery store is what's going to get you. I mean, that in the
grocery store is what. Wow,
it's got to be the second on the list next to the hospital.
The other one, laundromat.
Oh well,
I have a whole process for that to try to like. I have a whole process for that. We'll just keep it that. But yeah.
Yeah, of course, my dryer broke during this whole.
Well, Sean, I commend you on the PA bouldering. I think that was really cool, dude.
Yeah, that was incredible, man.
Yeah, it was good work. I mean, it was really good work, and that's I think it's cool because it's a lot of there's so much climbing in this country. I will say that for anyone else that has not explored, like amongst all 50 states, and I have these states. There's a lot of climbing. There's a lot of climbing. Every state has like what PA has to offer, and PA has to offer a hell of a lot.
Not Florida.
So I do commend you. A lot of people talk about that and never do it. That's really cool. That's really cool. It's something to feel good about.
I hope in 15 or 20 years or something, some kid will like watch that movie and be like, rock climbing looks cool. Maybe I'll try that.
Yeah, man.
Sweet. All right.
I did my civic duty of passing on my
diligence to climbing. Yeah. Right.
All right, gents. Well, thanks again for having me on, and hope to see you in the not so distant future. Hopefully.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah,
we'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Peace, man.
Peace.
You guys.
Eric, you look tired.
Oh, dude, I'm exhausted.
Well, end this thing already. You're in command.
Yep, I'm cutting it off. All right, see you guys out there.
So yeah.
Peace.